We are here again with Marty and Carolyn from Excellence in Education. They have a homeschool bookstore at their location in Monrovia. And we're here with Jessica and Lisa from Bridgeway Academy. And we're here with Lynn from Bookshark. So we are going to first let our panelists introduce themselves and share a little bit about their homeschool story, how they came to work in this industry, and what their companies do to support us as homeschool families. So let's go ahead and start with Marty and Carolyn.
Hello. We started homeschooling in 1981. A neighbor introduced me to the idea. Our eldest was 4, and at first I thought it was a little crazy, and I was a public school teacher at one time. But then I thought, this sounds like it could be good. So we first got hooked up with Bonnie and Lawrence Williams, who are the founders of Oak Meadow School. They were here in California, and we started going to their park day over in Pacific Palisades every week. Until my neighbor got tired of the drive and decided we should start a park day in the San Gabriel Valley. So she rounded up 4 other homeschool families, and we started that first park day in the San Gabriel Valley, and it was probably 1982. So we went from there. We have 2 daughters. Our eldest is a wingnut, meaning she's a pilot. She decided when she was 10 she wanted to be a pilot, and when she was 12 that she wanted to be a missionary pilot. And she did go to Africa and fly with the aviation team with Africa Inland Missions, but then came home and decided she would train pilots. So she became a flight instructor, and now she's a homeschool mom, and homeschooling 3 kids. Our other daughter, we had lots of adventures with her. She was way different, and she had some learning challenges, which taught us a tremendous amount about help for kids with struggles. And her story is that at 19, she went to college, got a 4-year degree in theology, and now, due to COVID, she's homeschooling 3 kids too, while she juggles her job at a big church. So we've had a lot of adventures. We started our bookstore in 1991, and then some friends convinced us to start a PSP in 1992. So that's been going along and expanding. We just try to support homeschooling in any way we can. So we have the bookstore, we have the PSP, we also have a support group, field trips, park days, and anything that we can think of that will be helpful to homeschoolers. And that's our mission.
That's great. Thank you so much. Lisa and Jessica, do you want to go next?
Sure. My name is Jessica Parnell. I am here with Bridgeway Academy and Lisa is with me as well. She's the director of all curriculum and development for us. I started and was introduced to home education really as a child. My parents either put us in either started a Christian school or homeschooled us throughout our education, throughout all of my schooling at home, or schooling until I went on to college. And then I jumped into home education out of the classroom. I was a public school teacher teaching high school English and in charge of the gifted program, worked with gifted children and learning disabilities, and then jumped into home education first as a member of Bridgeway Academy's team, and then as a parent myself. I have 3 children. All are now on to college. The first is in law school. The second is currently a junior studying art education. And then the third is a sophomore, and she is studying to be a physical therapist. So looking forward to seeing them continue. Lisa, did you want to give a brief introduction as well?
Yeah, sure, of course. I am an educational professional at heart. Had been in the classroom for some time and then stayed home with my children and found Bridgeway Academy as an avenue to work on curriculum development, which is really near and dear to my heart. As an educator in a classroom, I wanted to make sure that I got to each of those kiddos and really helped them understand their excellence and the gifts that they had. So it's fun for me to work with Jessica and Bridgeway Academy to bring some of that content and that curriculum to life for kiddos.
Nice.
And one of our approaches and strongest approach, and this came very much coming out of teaching both gifted and learning disabled children, as well as working in a clinic for students with learning disabilities, is really the passion to make curriculum fit. And that's what I wanted to share a little bit with the families today. As you're looking at entering home education, first, you can do this. You are your child's first teacher, and you will be an amazing teacher. And when you start to learn to just adjust to how your kids learn best, you'll find a very rewarding journey ahead of you. We do a lot around learning style, personality style, as well as really helping families find the right environment and right decisions for their children. So we wanted to share a little bit about the different learning styles that are in your home. We call them watchers, listeners, and doers. And the watcher is that visual learner, that individual that really thinks, makes connections, has a natural ability to analyze things. This is the one that might encounter something you've seen, encounter something in your world that they've encountered 3 years ago, and they say, oh, this reminds me of such and such, because they make those connections very naturally. Very extremely observant and very much thinking very globally. The second is the listener. These are your auditory learners. They're the ones who tend to chat a lot. This was me growing up. My parents, I actually didn't speak until I was 3. They were worried that something was wrong with me. And when I came out with my first sentence, it was a very long answer to a catechism question meant for my older brothers, and they all stood in shock that I actually must have been listening and processing all of this time and not really unable to speak. So that was the beginning, and then I think they probably wished I would stop again. But these are your talkers. They're memorizers. They're naturally moving and doing other things, but still processing what they hear. We say multitaskers. The brain doesn't really multitask, but this individual tends to think they can multitask because they're processing things so well that they're hearing. And then last, doers. These are your kinesthetic learners, your movers and shakers. They're highly energetic. They tend to be very athletic and or interested in drama, quick reactions, and they like to touch things. So it's not just that they need to pick things apart and interact, but they need to move. And when they can move, they can learn. And so a lot of these kids, as you've come home this spring, you probably saw some of you, if you had doers that were struggling in the classroom, that started to shine at home, because they had that freedom to get up and move, and they didn't have to be trying to hold themselves still in a desk. And so what an opportunity for that learning ability to just explode as they got away from kind of that rigid classroom that's really meant for an auditory learner. Just a couple tips for you very quickly, as you're trying to think through curriculum. We will be sharing some of our curriculum with you. I know Bookshark is here to share theirs. But I wanted to give you some tips as well as you start to navigate and listen to these presentations, as well as things you can use with any curriculum. So first is a watcher thrives with curriculum that's very big picture. They're global thinkers. They need to see the end first. So this is the individual where if you were teaching them spelling, best way to do it is to show them the spelling first. Don't try to get them to guess it and then they spell it wrong and that's what they remember, but show it to them. That's okay. And they see the big picture, they see the end, and then they can work through the goals to get there. The same with math. They like to see the end rather than step by step. And once they can see the end, they can go back up and get there. So they need visually pleasing, but they prefer visually pleasing images, charts, graphs, but not overcrowded, because that overcrowding will distract them as they're analyzing every little piece. So if you have a really strong visual learner, all of the classroom mess on the walls can be very distracting for them, and that can also lead to some struggle as they're sitting in a classroom setting. And then they also a curriculum that's focused on problem solving, because they are thinkers and analyzers. They just thrive with that ability to solve problems, and they're probably the ones already solving problems at home. So some tips for them: be willing to show them the answers, as I mentioned earlier. Give them time to process. They actually do. I have a really strong watcher in my home. They actually do think in pictures, and if you're a watcher yourself, you can identify with that. I cannot. I can't imagine thinking that way, but they think in pictures, so they need time to process what they hear, because they're literally translating it from picture to language. And sometimes they can also hesitate in response systems, in responding to you as a result. Have them write things down. That's another great thing, because it gets them out of their brain onto paper where they can see it. And then avoid multiple choice assessments. And the reason that we talk about avoiding multiple choice assessments is because they will analyze and justify almost any answer. So it becomes a little bit difficult for them because they make those connections. Obviously, you can't completely avoid it, but it's definitely a strength of theirs to be able to do that. Now, for your auditory learner, they thrive with a curriculum that is sequential. So step by step, very good for an auditory learner. That's conversational, and there's many curriculum choices out there where it's written like a teacher speaking to a classroom. Excellent choice for an auditory learner. And structured for discussion, because an auditory learner actually learns best by hearing their own voice. So if there are questions, some of those deeper thinking questions in there that you can interact and have discuss with them, top option for that listening student. One thing we recommend is don't be afraid to let them write their own quizzes if you are one who likes those assessments that are quiz related or test related, because they learn best through their own voice. So by writing those quizzes, they're actually continuing to process information and pulling out what really matters to them. Discuss and debate. Be careful. My oldest, who's in law school now, is a listener, and she's really good at debate. So she's in the right profession for sure. So they're good at debate. So be ready for that. Keep headphones handy. Sometimes listeners, because they process so well and they hear the sounds around them, many develop a great ability to tune out that noise, but some don't. And so having those headphones handy to cover up and maybe either block noise or just listen to music as they study can be a great tip for them. And then oral reports, again, they learn best from their own voice. So if they're giving an oral report, they're speaking and processing and learning as they're speaking. And then for them, multiple choice assessments work very well. So a curriculum with that option can be fantastic. Doers thrive with curriculum that's story-based. So you'll hear from Lynn in a minute about Bookshark, great option for a doer. They love hands-on because they need to move. They love to move to learn. And then even short lessons followed by interaction gives them that opportunity to keep teaching time short so that they can keep focused. Some great tips for doers is to demonstrate. They love to role play. So the more you can demonstrate, the more they can really process and pull that information in. Allow them to move while learning. My doer would be bouncing a basketball. Sometimes we created some little fun. If you hear the sound as she was learning to read, take a step forward, and we created some of that interaction so that she could be moving as she was processing information. They love to know how. And then again, keep that teaching time short and challenge them with projects. So 100-mile-an-hour trip through learning styles and just some tips to remember. But one of the things that we do at Bridgeway Academy is we try to incorporate that into all of the curriculum guides that we use and work with choosing curriculum that best fits different learning styles. And a few years ago in 2014, we decided to take a lot of the strategies and tips and additional resources that we had developed for homeschoolers online. And we created a website called elefango.com. Elefango is a website built for homeschoolers with resources that really leverage this learning and personality style approach. And it's also built around the neuroscience of learning, can supplement any curriculum, and is just a fantastic resource for parents who are just looking for that something extra. Or some parents have asked us, I don't necessarily want to jump into homeschooling, but I need supplementation because I know the school doesn't quite have it together yet. We need something else. And so we've recommended Elefango, and they love it. Every lesson is structured in 3 parts: get it, got it, and go. And the get it is where you get that information. The information is presented, and you'll see there's 3 different lessons here. It really isn't this disjointed in a lesson, but I wanted to give you kind of sampling from different types of lessons. So in the get it, that's the teaching section. In the got it, they do different interactions and or watch videos or projects, short projects to demonstrate that they understand it. And then the go, and this is what's so fun for homeschoolers, is that it's built for projects. It's built for them to put their own voice to their learning, which shows to really increase retention by as much as 50%. So it's a great opportunity for them to get creative and take learning off screen. Elefango.com is available to anybody. Again, it's a supplement and it's inexpensive. There's a subscription base for the year, includes for the whole family. And we've also developed these Jumpstart badges on Elefango where your students can jump in there and take some lessons that are really meant to prepare them for this upcoming school year, really hitting those different skills and learnings that they may have missed coming out of the prior grade, and just get them ready to start strong going into the next year. And I want to just turn it over quickly to Lisa to share some of the curriculum options that Bridgeway Academy offers.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Jessica. And really what we're going to share next is what Jessica has shared with you, incorporated into curriculum. We know there are so many options out there, and you're going to hear about some other options here today. But what we did at Bridgeway Academy is we've gone out, we've looked at great homeschool programs that fit various learning styles, and we've made some decisions about coupling that curriculum into grade level kits. So our grade level kits are available pre-K through 12th grade. And within those kits, it's not just the curriculum pieces that we're sending off for a doer, listener, or a watcher. We are also really providing that support for a homeschool family by pacing out that curriculum and providing an instructor guide to prompt the educator to help their child learn and take in that information. And then we're also thinking about those learning styles and offering graphic organizers, alternative assessments, all kinds of extra and extensions that provide additional practice, digging it a bit deeper perhaps, or even showing how that curriculum content relates to other curriculum areas or concepts and disciplines. So we really want to be able to support that homeschool endeavor and have it be a really successful one. So we feel like these tools that are in our grade level kit can give you all that you need for a great successful homeschool program. And you can see there on that slide, there are some related lessons to Elefango. So within these grade level kits, you have a membership to the Bridgeway Learning Center that ties you to lots of downloadable resources and those Elefango lessons that relate right to the curriculum that's included in these grade level kits. Our customized option is another opportunity for families who really just want some direction with curriculum. You would come to Bridgeway Academy, work with our professional academic advisors, really choose from over 40 to 50 publishers that we currently work with. And we talk about what the goal for the homeschooling program is, what those publishers may offer your child in an academic program. And then we help curate a program for your child for the school year. So help you choose a math, science, social studies, English language arts curriculum. And then again, you're not just getting those curriculum books, you're getting all that we've developed to support that homeschooling endeavor as well, that pacing for your student to know exactly what to do each day. You as that homeschool instructor, some prompts to help you teach and then oversee the program. And then all of those other extras that we talked about with the grade kits, graphic organizers, alternative assessments, Elefango connections. So really you have more than you would ever need within a day, all packaged into this customized option for your student. And then at Bridgeway Academy, if you're looking for a more interactive experience, we do offer live online classes for grades 1 through 12. We actually offer this as a full package in our academy or just for one course. If you're looking for a way for your student to connect with their peers and a teacher, we offer these live class settings that meet about once a week and meet with a live teacher and of course in a collaborative setting like we're in right now to learn, explore, collaborate, and dig a bit deeper in some of the fun areas like kitchen chemistry or maybe some of the more disciplined academic areas like math or science or social studies. We offer all of those opportunities in a live setting. And then also just online curriculum. We have a solution if you're looking for your child to take an online course at Bridgeway Academy. Again, for a specific area, for example, math. My 9th grader is going into a higher level math, and I'm a little worried about providing the support for her at home. So I could go to Bridgeway Academy and find an online solution to help my child go through that academic program, all curated to support her homeschooling endeavor for that year. And I know that she's getting a good comprehensive academic program in this endeavor. And then, of course, just a self-paced textbook as well. Yes.
Lisa, we have a question online. They're asking what the cost is for your programs. Is that something you guys can rattle off, or is there something
actually it varies depending upon the types of opportunities that I've shared here, but everything is available on our website at homeschoolacademy.com. Again, there's a lot of things you could choose, or just something small depending upon the needs. And of course, our admissions team would be happy to speak with anybody about questions that they have about curriculum for sure, because there are so many options out there. Sometimes it just takes getting on the phone and chatting with someone about your particular need and then a solution that may align to that need.
Right. Okay, thank you. So
of course.
Suggest going to the website for now or calling. And each of these people are happy to answer your questions if you call their location as well. So go ahead.
Absolutely.
Finish up with that.
Okay, well, as I was saying, just with the self-paced textbook option, again, it's not just sending off a Saxon math curriculum or Singapore math curriculum. It's the textbooks, it's the teacher resources that you need to oversee the program, plus that pacing and those extras that we've incorporated into that curriculum program to really provide the support for the student and the homeschool instructor. So as we were mentioning about visiting our homeschool website, our goal is, and Jessica's family has had this business for over 30 years supporting homeschool families. It is definitely our mission to be that partner in homeschooling. It's not just about choosing that curriculum, but looking at the goal for the homeschooling program, looking at your individuals that you have near and dear to your heart at home that you want to support. We have academic advisors that'll walk alongside our families. Those customized options, as Jessica said, very important for us to understand your child and your needs and goals for the homeschooling program. Provide that flexibility for you and your family, and then our academy is fully accredited.
And that's actually another option. So the families can come in and purchase all of those products that Lisa shared with you, live classes, grade level kits, individually and work independently, and works great for those pandemic pods that are coming together, as well as for charter schools for families of charter schools that are looking for curriculum. And then if you are looking for, and you're not part of a charter school, or you're looking for someone just to kind of handhold youth with you through the year, that's where the total care program, where you're enrolling in what's the equivalent of a private school. And as Lisa mentioned, we walk beside you, you have an advisor, and we really work with you to make sure that the year goes very strong. And then moving on, Lisa has a great program she would love to tell you about. This is her vision. So I'll let her.
There was one more question. Can I interrupt you?
Sure, of course.
They're wanting to know that you mentioned that it starts in first grade. Is there something for kindergarten?
Yes, we do absolutely have a pre-K program as well as a kindergarten program. And in fact, our pre-K program is actually offered for free on our website. It's a downloadable resource just for really active engagement for those youngest learners. We encourage families to go download it for free, try it out, provide us with some feedback, and hopefully we can provide some families with some support and understanding of what we have within all of our products here. So with our total, of course, with our total care blended program for grade 3 through 5 this year, we have taken kind of the best of both worlds, print and offline learning, as well as that online engagement for students. And we are offering a live teacher to bring that curriculum to life for students. So the Total Care Blended is an actual enrollment with our academy. Our students will meet twice a week for each academic area with that teacher and a class of students. So you can be safe at home, but have that support from a live accredited teacher, a certified teacher, and those same classmates throughout the entire school year. that teacher is going to get to know those kiddos, understand, again, what their strengths and areas for additional support would be throughout the school year, and have a great time kind of bringing that curriculum to life and engaging with those students throughout the week and in the academic school year. So we're very excited. This is brand new for Bridgeway Academy. Again, just taking the best of both worlds in that virtual setting, as well as those offline and very important hands-on opportunities for students to build and write and to engage offline as well as an online opportunity.
Can I ask a question for another family?
Of course.
They're asking, we're starting a pod, but it will be multi-age. Would they need to buy a kit for each grade level?
Yeah, actually, the grade level kits may be a wonderful option for such a setting, whereas you can bring kiddos together in the community, and then perhaps within the social studies program, even have a variance of grade levels to have those students work on that same social studies curriculum, and then have some great discussions. And for science, it could happen the same way, where they're doing live demonstrations and collaborating about the scientific method. Our grade level kits are academically aligned, so they may want to choose one for the various grade levels depending upon the collaboration of the group. Or if they're close in age, there could be some overlap with some of the social studies and science curriculum for sure.
Great, thank you.
Of course. And this slide just takes all of our total care programs, as Jessica had mentioned, those enrollments with Bridgeway Academy into play. So if you're interested in that fully supported option where we kind of walk with you from the start of a homeschool program, picking curriculum and those options, setting up a schedule, getting support throughout the entire year. The all-inclusive total care packages that you see here really kind of align to any situation that you may be interested in and goal for your homeschooling program. All textbook, a mix of online and blended for that 1st through 6th grade, as I mentioned, with our new live program, a fully online program for students that are perhaps in middle school and high school. And then we do have an elite program that is NCAA approved. So if you want that support as well, and you want to make sure that your students have that academic rigor and then support with that transcript for the elite program. And then our Total Care Hope program really couples with any textbook or online program, but it's actually in partnership with Essential Learning Institute that provides additional therapy sessions for students, totally aligned to the students' needs to help them learn to focus and attend for a bit of time throughout the year. So it's actually an additional diagnostic that we provide for the student, and then some additional therapy for that student to work on, almost like another class of their academic program to assist them throughout their academic year.
So we just threw up a couple of reviews here of people who've talked about Bridgeway Academy and what they love about it. And we've definitely have made homeschooling 100% our mission. So all of our programs and products are designed for the homeschooler. It's not a school program where we've tried to tailor it to homeschooling. It's exactly the opposite. So definitely would love to answer any questions and speak with people about Bridgeway Academy. We also have a Facebook that you can jump onto from our website to see other reviews and converse with people who are in Bridgeway Academy. And then I also thought we'd be remiss if we didn't share a little bit about Curriculum Express for those of you who are looking to just find curriculum. Maybe you know what you want already. You're looking for the best prices. CurriculumExpress.com is our distribution center, and we carry over 50 publishers, all of the top publishers that homeschoolers love. And as you can see, price match guarantee, and generally ships out the same day. Now it's a little crazy right now, so it might not be same day, but he does commit, our warehouse team do commit to doing their best to getting those things out the same day. So here again are some websites for contact information, and of course we're happy to answer any questions at the end as well.
That's great. Thank you guys so much for that beautiful presentation. And I've heard everyone that's on this panel talk about those learning styles, and so I think that's a great thing for families to look at. I know it applies to Bookshark, and it applies to all the curriculum that you guys have, and Marty talks about learning styles a lot with me. And then Lynn, if you want to introduce yourself and talk about Bookshark, then we'll go back and we have a couple just general questions I'd like you all to be able to discuss.
Awesome. I don't have a beautiful presentation. I didn't put that together, but I just want to share about, Wendy asked me to share about me and my journey and then how I got to Bookshark. So I was a mama that became a mama like 11 years into my marriage, and so was blessed with one son after many years of prayer. So I never thought in my life that I would homeschool. Didn't even talk about it, think about it. But then when I had that precious little baby, it's like, oh my goodness, I want to protect him and make him, just grow him as a very good citizen and just love to learn. So was actually invited by a neighbor to a homeschool gathering at the park across the street when my son was 4. And she introduced me to a sister company, and I actually was a consultant for Sunlight for 14 years and used that curriculum for 14 years and loved it and shared with thousands of families and have done workshops for those people for years and years. And then I retired from that in 2014. When we were done, my son was going on to college, and I thought, you know what, I'm a reflexologist and holistic health practitioner, so I thought I'm going to do that and start flipping houses. And immediately Bookshark called me. I flipped a house or two, and Bookshark called me and said, do you want to work for us? And I said yes. So Inquisicore is the mother company, and they've been around for 30 years. And it's interesting because Sarita mentioned in our last company meeting, she said, I feel for all these families, because she says, I was thrown into homeschool. I was thrown into it kicking and screaming, because she says, I didn't want to homeschool. After she did it for a year, she said, oh my goodness, I fell in love with it. And that's when she started writing the program, over 30 years ago now. So it's the philosophy of our literature-based curriculum is just a very good curriculum. The way it's laid out, the way it's presented, the comprehensive questions, the timeline figures, the mapping, geography, it all weaves together. And so when you're learning, you're creating a very logical, critical thinker. It works for all those different learning platforms that Jessica spoke about. And it really does help present that. And I've seen test scores from thousands of families over the years from that. I also started a co-op when I was homeschooling, and we had 104 children. And of course, they all had to use the same curriculum. Imagine that. So anyway, I got to see their tests and hear them speak about how well their students did. It's not that they create just enormous, wonderful people. I mean, it does, but testers that we don't teach to test, we teach to learn. And that's how our program is. And so for example, when my son was 5th grade in Oregon, and that's where I live, you have to test 3rd, 5th, 8th, and 10th grade. 3rd, I didn't even look at the scores because I thought, I don't care. I really don't care. 5th, it got better of me. I opened it up. My son, who I believe is very average, wonderful kid, well-rounded, very sports-minded. He went on to college to play baseball, and so did well, but I didn't think he was all that. He tested at 11th grade and above on everything. And I thought at first, wow. And then I thought, oh my goodness, who is he testing against? He's average. But it was because of the way that the material teaches. It's that the philosophy of just bringing it in, giving all different kinds of perspectives. So yes, you are reading a lot of different books, but what child doesn't have a grandmother, a grandfather, an aunt, an uncle, cousins, friends? All those things all those people are like books in their lives that they put down each time they go away, and they pick back up when they're with them. Do they remember all those books? Absolutely. So when they're learning from all those books and the perspectives of all those writers, they are learning to be empathetic. They are learning to see the world from a different perspective and from all different types of perspectives. So the depth of the understanding of those children gets deeper and deeper and just widens their perspective to understand and be able to sit back and have their opinion and understand why they have their opinion. So it really does create that beautiful learner. And it's by way of all the vocabulary that they're introduced to, by all those different ideas, and all that put together. So we are a very strong literature-based curriculum. It's a 36-week program. It's a 4-day schedule so that you get the 5th day to use as your elective day, as a makeup day or your science day. So our reading with history program intertwines with our language arts program, or language arts intertwines with our history program. So what they're reading is what they're writing on. It's what they're learning the mechanics of language on. It's what they're learning in geography. So it is all intertwined. So it's a beautiful way to learn that gives them the hooks to be able to hook knowledge on. It doesn't go here and there and everywhere. It's all very well laid out. And as for myself, in school, I was public school, I couldn't put history on a hook because it was picked from here and there and everywhere. This program runs along and it really builds on itself, and it's really laid out very beautifully. So it really helps. With Bookshark, we now have a virtual component that we are releasing for the fall. So if you need the virtual assessment for your state, for example, we do have partnerships with we have agreement or connections with some partnerships in different states who need that virtual component. Or if you're an independent homeschool family that you're new coming right out of public school and you think you want that, we have that ability this year to have that for you. You still get the wonderful literature package and do that literature piece, but then you get that virtual component that does some of the grading for you. Some of it you can look at and grade and assess, or just have it on there. It also creates a portfolio for you if you are thinking you need to have that sort of thing. One of the questions that I get asked a lot is, oh my goodness, where do I start? What if I start too low? What if this is the only year I'm going to be homeschooling? What do I do? How do I know I'm going to keep up? What I know is from several different people that have done it for 1 year and gone back to school because they didn't feel confident, or something came up in their life, or a health issue came up and their child needed to go back to school so that they could take care of those things. What they've found is that their children are ahead after they've used the program properly, that they're ahead of their schoolers, and they come back and they say, oh my goodness, I guess we were doing a good job. So one of the things that I do is I do offer workshops. This year I have a Bookshark boot camp on Facebook, and it started July 1. It's an 8-week unit study that I'm doing. So it's 2 live sessions a week. One's for Q&A, one's for the lesson. You can catch up at any point. So you can be part of that, and I'm going to guide you through that. It's from the 19 years of experience using this program and also consulting with several. So that's on there. We are out there with our customer service to be able to help you guys in any way that we can. With that boot camp, I am probably going to carry it on through the year so that I can be there with you, and perhaps monthly, bi-monthly. I haven't figured that out yet, but to be able to be there for you through this walk, because we know that there's a lot of you out there this year that are brand new to homeschooling, never thought you would, maybe thought that you might, maybe thought you would have liked to, and then this year you're pushed into that. So this year, I always say to those campers on that site, I say, breathe, step back, breathe. One of the things that I do talk to them about is reset. In fact, that was the last unit. So it was reset, not timeout, but reset. Everybody needs a reset because your blood sugar levels have perhaps taken a dive. Even mama needs a reset. And if you mentor that to them and show them what that looks like, then you can have a more positive look on your family and your life. And the reset time is more positive. Children grow into adults that know how to reset and not have a tantrum, because I've seen lots of adults have tantrums and they don't know how to reset. So all those things, we're here to help you with that. I'm here to help you with that. So if you choose that, we are, like I said, a literature-based curriculum. We are a 4-day schedule, so there's 144 book days and 36 days that you get to choose what you want to do for electives, so that you don't feel like you're always running behind. Because the last thing that I want you to do, and the passion that I have in my heart, is to help mamas and dads and grandmas and aunts and uncles and nannies who are helping you guys, your children, to be educated. I don't want burnout. So that's been my passion all these years, to help parents not burn out. And our instructor's guides are exactly the heart of that program that will help you to not burn out. We also have hands-on products. So our hands-on products go along with our history pieces. They're also independent. So do you have to use our history to use them? Absolutely not. So right now we have 3 hands-on products for our lower levels that are hands-on. They put them together. They put these pieces together, and they're 9 pieces that work through the year that they will put together that match the history that they're doing. From the next levels on up, we have lap books. They are beautiful lap books. So we have early American history lap books. We have a later American history lap book, an ancient world history lap book, and a more current world history lap book, along with an elections lap book. And so those lap books are about a 40-hour project, and you'll do them over the year. You can do them independently, or you can actually do them along with the history pieces. The elections lab book is great for this year, and I know a lot of the people who are using that piece. And we have a Constitution study. It's a 2-week downloadable free Constitution study that you can find on our website and download that. And there's a lot of people that are using it hand in hand with that elections book. So if you go to bookshark.com/freebies, you can find that study. And then if you get that lap book, it's just a beautiful piece that's put together. I do have some of them in the back here, but I don't want to open those up for you. I mean, they're gorgeous. You can go on, and if you go to bookshark.com and type in DH30 in the search bar, that one will show you a little quick video of it being put together, a whole year put together in I think like a minute and a half. So you can see how it's all put together. They're great pieces because they're all printed on the right weight of paper with all the stuff that you need put in there. The only thing that's not in there are scissors and colored pencils. Those are the things that you need. So that's just a quick rundown of what we are. We do actually go by age range, and we do encourage you to combine your families together so that you're working on the same topic together, especially if they're in the same age range, and then adjust some of the pieces that do need to be appropriate levels. So that's one thing. We also, if you can see the color coordination, our color coordination have to do with subjects and topics. So topics have to do with if you have kids that are too far apart in age ranges, then you put the topics together so that you are at least on the same topic in your household, so that you can have your kids just talking about it at the dinner table, and they're going to learn from each other about what they're doing in their topic, like ancient world history at the lower level and ancient world history at the upper level. It's not going to be exactly the same, but it will be the same topic. So that was quick.
I think that was great. I love your guys' product as well. And if families need help, I want to just reiterate that you guys are here for personalized help. So please know that these are great contacts, and I will get with them and get their contact information of who they want you to reach out to if you have questions about how to specifically get matched to their curriculum or have help deciding which sets you would need for your kids. So we'll definitely do that and leave that in the comments for everyone. So thank you, Lynn, for sharing that. So one of the general questions I have that I would like to hear what you guys have to say about it is, does anyone ever discuss curriculum that helps teens with self-improvement, self-management, and emotional regulation? I am finding that parents only focus on the academic and not the soft skills, which are essential. So Marty and Carolyn, do you want to start?
Yeah, I love that question because it's a very important one. What we do with EIE, Excellence in Education, is that we kind of get out of the box more than in the box. And our purpose for kindergarten through 6th grade is to create an environment where the children love to learn. And then we also want to teach the children, or to facilitate the environment for the children to begin to become self-learners. Because I believe the acquisition of the love of learning and the acquisition of how to teach yourself becomes a lifetime gift. We also look at the school day. And what we believe in is that a child needs to have a dream, have to have a purpose. And when they have the dream, when they have the purpose, they have some investment in their life. And when people have purpose, they look at their life a little bit differently, and they start looking at positive, negative reactions and responses to their actions. During the school day, we like to see our kids spend only 40% on academics and 60% on exploration. And exploration becomes the component of life where we want to expose the kids to a lot of different things. For instance, my grandson is one of the top 100 bass fishermen for his age group in the state of California. That's a purpose for him, and we can control his behavior through his love for fishing. We have students who have some fantastic hobbies, and if you do enough time in a hobby, especially in high school, the elementary school years, no one cares about report cards. No one's going to ask you at age 35, can I see your third grade report card? But I want them to have that love for learning. Now, when we get to high school, we want to really kind of look at where are they at age 25? And if one of our students wants to be an electrician, I'm not going to waste time with calculus. I'm going to have them do all those things that are more vocationally oriented. In fact, an example of that is I have a friend who has this machine shop or an engine building shop. And he builds these racing engines worth $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. I have 3 of my boys there, our student boys. They'll never see a day of college. But they work for my friend every day of the week. They have 2.5 hours of schoolwork during the day, and the rest is they're learning the trade. They will learn how to build awesome engines. They will learn, probably get their drag racing license, and they may get into stunt driving. But why should they do calculus? And then I want to go back also to the learning styles. I really am a firm believer in learning styles. And one of the things that can get in the way of progress with a student is conflict between the parent and the child. And that's why we have a very extensive learning style that gets into 5 different arenas, blending a little bit with what Jessica had mentioned. But we also want to do the learning style of the parent and the children, because the learning style of the parent will dictate heavily the teaching style. And if you have a difference in learning style, it could cause conflict. An example with that is we do dispositional assessments. And let's say we have what we call a producer. This is the person who likes to check things off. They want to be everything on time. And let's say that this mom is just like that. My daughter is like that. And then you have a child who is what we call creative. These kids have two aspects to life that are very important. One, they get lost in time, which translates they're late to dinner. And the average parent, when the child's late to dinner, looks at it as being rebellion. You don't respect me. So there's this tension that is created. Then these kids also have a tendency to daydream. And this mimics sort of the general classification of being attention deficit. And if you're in a classroom environment, the solution to attention deficit is a pharmaceutical attack, which then kills the internal soul of that child as far as their purpose. So if we can create this environment of safety between the child and the parent, then we have a more successful approach to homeschooling, and the child really, really gets into a good position of self-confidence. Go for it. Part 2 coming up.
I just wanted to mention something that we highly encourage that I think addresses specifically the question, and that is that we followed the research of Dr. Raymond and Dorothy Moore, and one of the things that they emphasize is that even from when children are very little, they should be involved in a business, a real business, where they make money. And so we followed that. And our daughters had their own business, and they made a pretty good amount of money as teenagers. In fact, they had several businesses. And when you have your own business, the character development that goes with it is phenomenal, because you have to not only develop a product or a service that you're going to provide, but then you also have to develop the interpersonal skills to market that and to convince a customer that they could use your skills. So we encourage children, and especially teens, to be involved in a business. It could be part of their parents' business, or it could be their own business that they create. And that, I think, would address this development that the questioner was asking about, because as you can see, there's an awful lot involved there, including financial literacy. So I'd just like to add that. I don't think most people think of that. They think we need books for everything, and that's really not true. We need to have an awful lot, like my husband said, exploration in
Right.
being involved in the world and getting out and working with people.
Right.
And just finally, real quick, with the exploratory aspect of our program, especially in high school, if there's enough time spent on a particular area, we do give academic credit that goes on the transcript.
Right.
And what happens there is that the typical child from a high school that's a public classroom-oriented school, even private classroom, they have their 180 to 220 units. We have kids that graduate with 300 units. And that transcript is the marketing tool to get your child into either a job or into university or college. Our kids have such a broad transcript that it exposes and then tells the reader of the transcript that here is a child who loves to learn, and because we believe in mastery over time, they're pretty much A students. And then that diversity of ideas and experiences makes that student stand out compared to the normal production line student that comes out of the classroom environment.
Right. So the world is their curriculum.
Absolutely.
Right. So Jessica or Lynn, did one of you want to speak to the question on the older students with teens, self-improvement, self-management, emotional regulation?
Well, I think Martin, you covered it very, very well, and I absolutely agree with you in that experiential learning. It's emotional intelligence doesn't come from a book. It definitely comes from that experiential learning, and oftentimes the belief that the child has about themselves. And so as you start to homeschool and start to kind of undo some of those bands of steel that they believe about themselves from the struggle or from the things that have happened in classrooms with friends, you start to see that develop much faster. So I think you hit it. I don't need to take more time to explain it, but you did hit on something that I thought would be great to share with people, and that is that assessment of disposition and learning style. And we also have one that we're actually offering free right now, so I'm glad you mentioned it. It's learningstyles.me. And there's a coupon code in there. You just type in Genius and you can access that for free. And it tests learning style, personality style, and learning environment. And take it as a parent, because exactly what Martin said, as a parent, you have a different learning style and a different personality style. And there are clashes and there are complementary things that happen between those. And as if you take it as a parent, then every one of your child's personality style assessments will have a parenting guide, and it talks about those things, about how your communication style might actually be the exact opposite of what they need to hear, or it might be the perfect complement. And it really kind of gives you those extra tools and insights into both of you.
That's great. I'll get that link from you later, Jessica, to add it. Okay. Lynn, did you have anything to share?
Yeah, I think this is one of the hardest ones that parents have to overcome. And I think what I see with either new homeschoolers or some homeschoolers that are just not confident in their own skills, I think they push too hard and they think they need to have their kids at too high of a level. Let your children be at the level that they are, because it's their maturity level, not only the academic. If you push them too hard, you're going to have them put their heels in and you're going to actually go backwards. So I would say with that question, relax and they will relax. Pull back and let them experience life. What I saw happen was when we did Educate with Awesome Living Books, was they will go out and play the history that you're learning, which then allows them to be able to form what they think about everything in their head and put things together. And it just helps them to understand the world better so that they can go out and be a better citizen in the world. So all of it together helps. But when the parent is pushing too hard because perhaps you have your own parent that is saying, oh, I don't think you can do this. Oh, you can't teach because public school is where you learn. That kind of pressure. Or are they going to get behind? Oh, no, they're not reading yet. Oh, no, they're not doing the right level of math. Well, then mom starts getting all tense. And so if you're tense when you're trying to educate your children and have them experience and know and learn the world and life, that your children are going to be tense and your children are not going to be able to relax and do exactly what Marty was saying about experiential, that experience of learning. You just can't do that if you're just tied up, stressed, and not able to do that. So that's my take on it is relax and enjoy. And that's why I like that, take that fifth day and go do field trips, go, suck up shrimp at the beach and dissect them and, go do all those fun things. One of the things we did was I would organize groups to go downtown Portland to go to the live theaters. And then we afterwards all have a picnic and we discuss the drama and the costumes and the sets and, and then they had a great time. So there's a lot of ways to experience education without being in.
Right. I agree with that. I think that's
Let
beautiful.
me jump in just real quick, Wendy.
Yeah.
A couple things that we do not correlate age to grade. We always work on a basis of mastery.
Right.
And we also look for hard places, meaning why is it that certain kids are having problems? Now, for instance, my two girls, one's got her degree in aviation, did not learn to read until she was 8. My daughter, who's a pastor of women's ministry down in San Diego, did not learn to read until she was 10 and a half. But Tylene had a self-imposed, very serious car accident. At age 5, she decided to drive the car. And she ended up with some pretty major injuries. And the fact that she's sitting in ER, getting her body fixed, basically her head, and there's a police officer right there trying to figure out what happened. And she's going, I'm going to go to jail. So that caused her to go, and we didn't know what happened till a year later. But these hard places can cause a delay. It could be divorces, it could be a death, it could be a bad birth, it could be a drug-addicted parent. There's a lot of things that could cause a delay in academic progress. And if you're aware of it, then I believe you have a much better chance to build that child up to match and meet their goals in life and their purpose in life.
I would like to talk on that too. I personally, readers who learn and get their keys to read later in life actually the research shows that they have a higher comprehension level than the early reader, because the early reader is deciphering words and not necessarily comprehending. So I say they just don't have their key. They're not behind. They just don't have all the keys to open that door to do that reading. And once they do, they soar and actually are higher than the student who learned to read at 3. So I agree with you. We do not go by age either. I mean, we don't go by grade. And when I talk to people all the time, they'll say, my children are grade, da, 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 and I'll listen. And then I say, okay, how old are they? Well, they're grade. Da, 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 da. Sometimes it takes me asking them 4 times before they'll tell me what their ages are. So asking, when I'm talking to you about a level, I really mean that it is for that level. It's that age range. And too many times people will try to put their kids too high, and don't make that mistake. Don't put them too high. They are the age they are. They are at that maturity level. There is that. And we have had that made mistake, and I've set them back, into an earlier year, and they call me and say, oh my goodness, it's so much better. It's so much better because they're appropriately placed by age.
One of my favorite activities is to ask my moms, please give me your helicopter license. And they laugh and they give it to me.
Yeah, that's one of the things for those of you new to homeschooling, it may sound like a foreign language, but it is the beauty of homeschooling, is they're placing your children where they will succeed. And especially if you have a kid who's been struggling, getting them placed where they can succeed is going to start to undo that mindset that they have about themselves. And so they start to succeed and they start to build that confidence. And with that confidence comes that desire to learn and that ability to challenge themselves. So great points about relax, especially, if there is tension in the home between you and your kids because of high volatile relationships or a strong-willed child. Relax. Be sure to step back and give that kid, especially that strong-willed one, as you can probably imagine, my attorney to be was our strong-willed child, and we had to learn to just stop telling her what to do. And it was something that we learned early on, and we're able to try to, and I'm not saying we did it always right, because we definitely didn't, but really learned that when we would step back and just, first of all, let her emotions wash away and, give her, just step back, and then let her take charge and come up with, okay, I think these are the following 3 options that you should give me. We really started to see that relationship heal. And so I'm not sure if there's a cryptic underneath that question about this kid, where that you're looking for that self-regulation and things, but many times it does come from them feeling what we project towards them. Mm-hmm. And you, especially as you're homeschooling, work hard to be projecting encouragement, building them up, helping them develop that confidence beyond academics. Don't worry about the academics. Worry about building that child for the future.
And this is where labels are very important. A lot of parents come to me and say, my kid's so stubborn or headstrong. Those are negatives. And I tell them, use the term committed. My daughter was very committed. Now, if you got in her way, you're going to get hurt. But she was committed. And that shows a much more positive affirmation for the child instead of calling them stupid or headstrong or stubborn or whatever you might want to call it.
Well, and I think at the beginning, before we were live, Carolyn and I were having a discussion about curriculum and how I don't feel like I'm an expert in curriculum because we don't use curriculum really anymore. We're about real world learning. And I think what you said was beautiful, that whatever you're using for the learning is the curriculum. And so you just have to find what works for you and your children. And I think the thing that was my aha moment was when I realized I didn't have to use a curriculum for my child because it didn't work for him. And I realized I have to be involved with him and learn with him. And so that's when we adopted this whole family learning style where we all just learn together. We're all talking about the same topics. We're all doing the same thing. So I'm curious, that doesn't work for all kids. What works for Athen isn't going to work for everyone. So how do you determine what learning style you are? I know, Jessica, you shared one test that you guys have, but once you have that information about what kind of teacher you are and what kind of learner you have, how do you then pick the curriculum? How do I know if I want Bookshark or if I want Bridgeway or if I want one of the millions of books you have in your bookstore. I think that's part of what people are looking for. How do they know which one to pick? I don't know who wants to go first, but I'm going to mute and let you guys talk.
I think it will not be instinctual as you begin, and I would just encourage you to ask questions. Contact us. Talk to as people who are in that world. Remember, though, you don't want to just say, "What do you use?" and then copy it, because it might not be the right style. But the publishers that you're working with, Martin and Carolyn, will know, what's strong, what curriculum is strong for what. Here, of course, at Bridgeway, it's everything we do is really helping provide that expertise. So don't be afraid to call and ask questions. What's so nice about the homeschool community is we're about homeschooler success. And so I've seen it happen at many trade shows where I'm walking people to Lynn's booth or to somebody else's booth because it's what will fit that family, and they're doing the same. So whether you use our products or any of our products or stores, we are here to help homeschoolers succeed, and we all we work together, and we will give you true and honest opinions. So don't be afraid to ask.
I think that's beautiful, Jessica. I find that also in the homeschool community. We want everyone to find the best path for them, and we will introduce you to the people we need you to know because we think they're a good path for you. So I think that's great. Lynn, did you want to share?
Yeah, I agree with Jessica, what she says, and that's really what we missed this year on the convention floor is that ability for people to touch and see, because that's really what they like to do. Although I think the whole nation has done well in bringing virtual platforms out for the families to see, but just ask questions, and like she said, call. Like we have Bold at Bookshark. If you email that, we can call you or email you back. I have my team of convention consultants working as advisors on the lines now. So you can email in and ask for a phone call or an email from one of those advisors on curriculum. So I would say use the curriculum company's resources to be able to understand what their program is. On our side, it talks about methodology, it talks about the philosophies. Do that research. Go on to Facebook. There's a lot of Facebook. I know we each probably have a Facebook page. Go on to the Facebook page. There's other pages on there too of homeschoolers like Wendy's here, so there's other resources to just see, but you have to, I'm sure you'll find positive and negative of each. The negative doesn't mean it's negative for you. The positive doesn't mean it's positive for you. So you need to understand where you are. I have an accountant in Kansas who she said to me one time, it doesn't matter which math the mom picks because it's what the mom likes that will work for the kids. And I thought, that's an interesting concept. Okay, so if you can't teach X math because you don't understand it, don't get that math for your child, no matter how many positives there are out there. Figure out the math that you are able to help your children learn, and then choose that math. So same with all of it. You have to understand it and get it. So there's like one math out there that I can't get. It's like, okay, that's not my style at all. But it does fit for a lot of people. So when I'm asking about math, I'll ask all kinds of questions so that I can help you get to the right choice, or I'll guide you. But I won't ever say this is the one you need to do, because everybody has their own style. Everybody has their own experience in life to do that. So.
Yeah, I think that's very true.
The one technique I like to use, because the curriculum, Carolyn just went off to get some aspirin. She's been pretty much pain off an injury. But the curriculum has to serve the student. And what I do when I meet a teenager, I get my pen out and I ask them, what is this? And I say, it's a pen. I go, no, it's a time machine. Then I'll point it to the mother and I say, how old do you want your mom to be? And half the time that child doesn't exist when they tell me how old the mother should be, because the child wasn't born at age 25 or 21. But then I make the child, I go, okay, you're 25 years old. Now I'm writing down all these notes as I go through this little question period. And I say, I want you to be 25. Can you imagine being 25? Some can and some can't. But I continue anyway, and I said, I got a question for you. At age 25, are you living in a house, a condo, apartment, a car, or a box? And they think about it, and generally speaking, I get the top three. I had one kid tell me a car. And I said, oh, what kind of car is it? It's going to be a 35-foot motorhome. I'm going to travel the country for a while. And I go, great, okay. But then for the people who go for house, condo, apartment, then I ask, how are you able to afford your dwelling? And they think, and I go, oh, I want to have a job. So I give them a high five for an affirmation of a good idea. Then I ask, what is the job? And in most cases, they pop out an answer because now I've gotten into the subconscious. If you ask a kid, what is it you want to do? They go, I don't know. But through this process, they come up with that internal desire. And once I get down, okay, I want to be, XYZ. Now, if they tell me they want to be a baseball player, basketball player, I never say, forget it, because you got a 0.0001% chance of doing it. I say, okay, what do you got to do to become a baseball player? And they'll tell me a complete series of things. Go through high school, blah, blah, blah. Then I ask, what's your backup plan in case you get into a car accident and you can't throw that pitch any longer? And then with average people, they go, I want to be an accountant or I want to be a plumber. And I write down, what do you have to do to go from age 15 to become the best plumber or the best accountant or the best doctor? And we go through a series of steps from high school to completion. And they'll say, graduate from high school. And I'll say, with good grades or bad grades? They'll say, good grades. Define what good grades means to you. And I'm writing all this stuff down. And then at the end of the conversation, I take that piece of paper and I turn it around and I show the child. I says, is this what you're talking about? And they go, yeah, perfect, good. Then I put an X and a line, I say, sign it. Now what they have is a contract with themselves. Now they have a sense of accountability that's self-imposed, not externally imposed. And if they're a faith-based family, then I ask the child, in your own time, I challenge you to form a covenant. And now we have accountability not only to themselves, but to God if you're into the faith-based arena. And it seems to work very well because now the child has input, the child has ownership, and now the child and the parent have expectations which will help create the curriculum and the course of study over the years.
Well, thank you guys. I think we've all shared some valuable information, and there's some parents that want to speak to specific people on the panel. So I'm going to make sure that I connect you guys when this is done and get those links from you. But I think it's important to know there's lots of curriculum out there, and there's lots of Facebook groups where you can ask other parents. Please feel empowered to reach out to the curriculum companies because they want to help you find the right curriculum. I think that that's something that came through from both Bookshark and Bridgeway and Marty today, who has a bookstore with tons of curriculum in it. So don't be afraid to ask. Everyone wants to help. Thank you guys for coming. I don't know if you want, oh yes, someone else is asking to speak to Jessica, so I'll connect you guys. Do you want to say anything in wrapping up? I really appreciate you guys being here.
I just like to encourage you. I know families are feeling thrust into this, some really anxious about what they're getting into, and just want to say you can do it. You will have days where you're pulling your hair out or want to lock the kids outside, but for the most part, it's an adventure. It'll come together, and I would almost predict that most of you will want to continue homeschooling after this because the freedom, the flexibility is amazing for the family, and the success and the confidence that starts to soar in your kids is amazing for the kids. So you can do it, and we're here to help, and you've got a whole community around you of families and companies that love homeschooling and are here to support you.
That is so true, Jessica. Thank you.
And I have to.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead,
I
Lynn.
have to ditto that. That's exactly how I feel. Is everybody can do this. You just have to remember to breathe, relax, and reset sometimes. And mom, dad, whoever's teaching has to do that too. There are days that you are going to be feel like you're hitting a wall and your voice is raising. There's a little anger happening. You need a reset, and just remember that that's okay. It's all okay. You just need to breathe, relax, reset. So you can do this, and at the end of the year, you're going to look back and look at the beautiful bonding that your family have happened, and you'll see your family just growing together more and more. And that's the bottom line for me. That's the most beautiful thing of all of this, is the bonding that you create with your family and your children. So that is lost when you're not able to do this. So just know that there is a ton of support out there for you. You're not alone in this journey. And if anyone ever makes you doubt, because they are out there, it's interesting. May I tell one little story, Wendy?
Yeah, of course, please.
So we went one year to go down to my in-laws' place. They would go to Florida in the wintertime. And so we went down there for a week to spend time with them. And they were with all their retired friends, right? We get down there and we'd go immediately to play bocce ball. And they put each of us on a different team. With my son, who was at the time 12 or 13. And they had him on a team. And after the game, they said, oh my goodness, he can talk about anything. He's not afraid to talk to us. He talks to us and he stands up, and he's very, very good at speaking. And they were just amazed at what he knew and what he could talk about, and that he wasn't afraid to talk to them. He didn't want to close himself off. So then we went up to their condo and had a potluck. We get up to the potluck and we're all sitting there talking. And this happened to be the year that I was teaching him Latin. And I also had some other boys that came in and we were learning Latin. Well, I had to learn it before them and then teach them because I didn't know Latin. But it was fun. It was a lot of fun. They enjoyed it. And so this one retired man, he starts talking to my son and saying, oh, so what are you learning in school this year? And not knowing he was homeschooled. And so he starts rattling off the things, and Latin was one of them. And he says, oh my goodness, what school teaches Latin? And he goes, well, I'm homeschooled. My mama teaches me Latin. And he snaps his head over to me and he goes, oh my goodness, how are you going to socialize him? And I'm thinking, you were the one that just not 30 minutes ago was telling me how acclimated he was to talk to anybody and everybody, and it could talk about everything. So the point of this is, and he was a retired superintendent, and I think the look on my face must have made him realize the I can't think of another word but stupid question that he said. So all that to say is, if you have somebody come up to you questioning what you're doing with your family, stand up and don't let them tear you down. Because what you are doing is creating a very solid child that can go out into the world and know and understand their belief system, know and understand the world, and know a lot more than a lot of other children that are graduating at the same time as them. So that's what we're building. We're building true ambassadors for education and learning and all different kinds of things. So don't let those people tear you down or make you question what you're doing.
Yeah, that socialization question always gets me, Lynn, because my kids are hanging out with people of all ages, all backgrounds, and they can talk to anyone. And I don't get that question at all. My children are very socialized.
Exactly. And at my church, the same thing. I have older people say, it's when he was in high school, oh my goodness, he talks to us like nothing. And then he goes and plays with all the little babies. They don't have an inhibition to talk to anybody that's not their peer. They can talk to anybody. That's the beauty. And that's, Jessica was talking about breaking down walls. And that's one of the walls that will be broken down, is that I can only talk to the kids my age because I can't talk to the ones younger. And then I want to talk to the ones older, but they won't talk to me. That doesn't happen in homeschool.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, I think that's beautiful. I'm glad you brought that up.
And the final word is, this is for the Californians that are listening to this broadcast. The standing of California is like number 46 or 47 in the state of quality of education. So that tells me it is physically, emotionally, spiritually, and academically impossible for you as a homeschool parent to do worse than the state of California.
That is sadly true. Sorry that we have to say that, but yes, our state does not rank very high in our education compared to other states in the nation.
And we're number 3 on expenditure.
Yes, right. A topic for another Saturday. Thank you guys so much. And I'll get the links from you and I'll connect you to the parents who want to speak to you. And I really appreciate you bearing with me, being so patient with our broadcast, and just being here to answer parents' questions like you always are. I love you guys. All right, so we will sign off. Did you want to say bye, everybody?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, Wendy.
It's been a pleasure to meet you, ladies, and I wish you great success in your endeavors.
You too.
Thank you. You as well.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, Wendy.